Welcome, everybody, to the Lunacy Podcast. My name is Tony. I'm here with Dave and David. Dave Stevens, David Sterling. I'm Tony Pervenanzi. We are coming today from Dual Citizen Brewing in Minneapolis. What time is it, boys?
Just after 8 in the morning.
Way too early.
It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, we're here because we're here for a special event.
Right. We kind of hinted at that.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about yesterday's game first, and then we're going to have some special guests on to talk about why we're here this morning. We are with True North Elite. That's all I'm going to say about it right now, but they'll come on a little bit later, and they'll give you the 411 about what's going on. So,
Yeah.
of course, you can find our podcast pretty much anywhere. Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn. We are part of the Beautiful Game Network. That is BGN.FM. We're also part of the Minnesota Podcast Network. That is podcastminn.com. So, boys, we had a game yesterday.
A game.
A game. There's only one game to talk about today because we had an off week last week.
Yep.
Some of our guys were off on doing their national team things.
Yep.
International break. They just got back, what was it, Wednesday?
Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, I think Kello got back Friday.
Even later, yeah.
So we had a nice break for a week,
Yep.
which should have been good for us. Unfortunately, yesterday we came out flat.
And we should mention, the game was at New England.
At New England,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Little side note, I didn't watch the first half because I took my youngest daughter to see Captain Marvel, and I thought I would get back by the first half. Unfortunately, the movie ran a little longer than I thought, so you guys will have to tell me about the first half.
Well, you missed the good half then,
I did miss the good half.
If you could call it a good half. But.
The great thing about the first half was it was really open. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of back and forth. It looked like both teams came with energy, and it was. Yeah, I mean, it was a good, entertaining match.
It was
for the first half,
and we saw for the fourth game in a row we saw a penalty kick because there was a handball,
and for the second game this season we saw a goal for the other team.
Yeah,
within the first 10
few
minutes.
Yeah,
in this case it was the 9th minute, or 10th
Yeah.
minute, but it was right there.
Now, you guys will tell me about that goal New England scored because I didn't see it. Was it a nice setup? Was there defensive issues with it, or what?
I mean, I guess it depends on what perspective you're looking. Obviously, we're looking at this from a Minnesota perspective, but I mean, certainly, it was a nice ball in, and it was. I guess, like I'd call it a nice ball in. It was a headed goal, by Ani Baba, his first of the season. In fact, for New England, they've only had one goal scorer this year in their first 4 games.
Yeah.
Sia, is it? Is it Gill?
Yes.
Sorry, Gill.
And I believe that's Heel.
Yes.
Heel.
Yes.
Carlos Heel.
Those
Carlos
heels.
Heel.
I believe is how. I think that's correct.
But yeah, he put the ball in. He got the assist. It was a headed goal, a little soft. It was off Manone's hands.
Okay.
Some people might argue that he maybe should have done a little better with that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Manone's entire positioning was very good. He was a little off his line. He was favoring the near post.
Okay.
It was a good place header, but it was really soft. The biggest thing for me was the pressure on Heel was lacking, so he had plenty of time to set up and get a decent cross in. It comes down to more defensive mishaps. Mm-hmm. It's that mental thing, and I mean this is kind of where all of the criticism of Adrian Heath, I think this is one of those things that is on him.
Yes.
There's something about the mentality of the defense that is lacking in almost every game. You can usually find multiple examples. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something that definitely needs to be looked at, and you would think that they are looking at that but yet it continues to happen. So
yeah, and I know you might disagree, but I mean, so on that one, I think Ozzy was just a little far off of heel on that one, and I don't know if I don't think it was Alonso's best game of the season. You could say that for a lot of the Minnesota players, but just didn't look sharp. Certainly not there.
I agree. I think it was, he could have pressured a lot more than he did. He allowed probably an extra yard of space that didn't need to be there.
Sure.
Overall, I agree that it wasn't a very good game for him. I don't know. It's one of those things. It was everyone in the defense. Well, everyone, not even just the defense. It just seemed like everyone was off a step.
Yeah, it was. They were just. They were slow yesterday. They were a little bit flat, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Not so much in the first half.
No, not so much.
And
in the
one
first
thing
half.
about that goal by Ani Baba, that was actually New England's first goal at home this season.
Oh,
It was, yeah.
Because they'd been 0-2. They were 0-2 at home.
Yeah.
Before that, actually 0-3-1 overall, but 0-2 at home before that game. And actually, Brad Friedel called out New England leading up to that week. So I mean, I think that was one of the big things. It was a big talker. Is this going to be a trap game? Is this maybe this isn't the best time to face a New England Revolution side that is literally desperate for a win.
Yeah.
And Friedel kind of lit a fire under him and said, let's go.
Let's do it.
Called out the team, called them soft. He also getting away from the game a little bit, but Friedel made some comments about how the players in the MLS don't have as much to lose or as much to play for.
Yeah,
Wow.
there was some relegation comments from him.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think he was coming off his experience playing in the English Premier League,
Yep.
where you might have people threatening to beat you up, waiting at your car,
yeah.
and not to mention the relegation where that has serious financial impacts. But me personally, I would argue that okay, teams can't be relegated here, but players are certainly playing for their jobs here.
They are, of course.
It's not like they have nothing to lose by poor performance. So
Right.
It's
Yeah, I think a lot of that is a bit of deflection. I mean, obviously he's a new manager.
Mm-hmm.
His team's playing horribly.
Yep.
He's trying to find a place to put some put some blame. But I really do like the fact that I like a manager that's willing to call his players out.
Yes.
That's what I've always liked about Adrian Heath.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are a lot of people that don't like that, but for me, I like to see a manager, head coach, whatever you call him, say publicly,
Yeah.
you guys played like shit.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not the best motivation. I mean, if you're in the corporate world, probably not the best motivation. But these are athletes, they're grown men. They're playing, I mean, their job is to play.
They're making a lot of money.
And it's one of those things where I like to see the manager come out publicly and say, look, you guys suck.
Yeah.
And you need to fix that. And I agree with Dave. It was a trap game. I mean, I said this on my closeout tweet last night that we were coming into an away game for one, but against a team that needed to win a game, and those are the worst scenarios to go into. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter how bad they are. It doesn't matter how good they are. If you have a team that finally clicks that they need to win this game, it's going to happen. And that's what happened.
And, of course, we'd had a week off.
Right.
So it was a perfect storm
Yeah.
for New England to come out.
And that's the thing. I saw a lot of people kind of ignore the fact that we were on a bye. I mean, one of the things that I love but loathe about the NFL playoffs is that bye week for the good teams, because you have that week of rest, but you also have that week of rest where you're not doing anything, you're not playing the motions, and you kind of get that settle in.
For Minnesota, their off week, their bye week, if you want to call it, it was an international break. So you had 5 starters that were away from the team. So you had
Yep.
players that, and maybe that's you could say that's a good thing. You're getting more new players involved and players that haven't seen the pitch as much. But your core lineup, you're missing some key pieces.
And
from
they were all
those
on defense,
workouts.
too.
And
Yeah.
defense.
And
yeah.
what did I say, guys, when this season started and we had all these new players? I said a big thing was communication, all of them communicating together and working together. They still are not, like, completely meshed yet.
No.
And when you have a break this early in the season, it's almost taking 2 steps back.
Right.
Because you're coming back after a break, you went to your international teams and you played with them, and then you're coming back. It's like, if this break would have been later in the season, I don't think it would have been a bigger deal.
Right.
And maybe that's it. Maybe you kind of wish the first break was later, because I'm not sitting here and saying if they played the Revolution in New England a week ago while we had those 5 players on international break, I'm not saying they would have done better, because you're still going to have new pieces to that squad.
Sure.
But
Well, I think I would take what you said a step further. If we played New England instead of LA Galaxy,
yes,
we would have won. I think we would have.
Yeah.
I mean,
2 weeks ago.
yeah,
Then, yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's the nature of the beast, and bye weeks aren't always good, and that's the way it is. One of the positives that I have to say about yesterday's game, and Tony, you missed most of this, was Angelo Rodriguez's hold-up play. My God, I mean, the dude I think he could hold off. I don't know, Andre the Giant. The guy is amazing.
He definitely used his size to his advantage there, and it was quite obvious. I mean, it didn't always lead to great chances, but he was there. He was up front, and I mean that's what you need, I guess, out of that. But,
and that's the, we'll probably talk about this for 3 years. This is why we got rid of Christian Ramirez.
Exactly right.
This is the type of play that this team, that this organization wanted, and that's not Christian's game.
No.
Angelo isn't going to score us 12 goals a season, but if he keeps playing the way he did in the first half, and even part of the second half before he got subbed out, it's going to open up a lot.
It should.
And there was one, I wrote it down in my notes, where he actually he held off. Then he gets the ball, he gets around, and he muscles past everyone, and still manages to get a pass off into the box. It was Darwin's probably better chance of the day. I mean, it was all generated by his strength, by his ability to just push off the defenders and make something happen. Now, had Darwin put that on frame, it would have been great.
Yeah.
Had he put it in the goal, it would have been an assist, and a well-earned assist for Angelo. And that's what we want. That's
Exactly
the player we want. And now, whether there are people in this fan base that want that is beside the point. Because that's what the team wants.
That's not, again, the team wanted to go in a different direction, and they did, and I think it works out better. But unfortunately, getting rid of one of your favorite players, still stings people.
I don't think, because I don't think you can sit here and I'd be hard pressed to listen to criticism about Angelo Rodriguez from yesterday's game, from the first half of yesterday's game, because there's not a whole lot to criticize. Now, if you're going to criticize Christian Ramirez, he kind of had the knack for scoring goals. He's had that his whole career.
It's flashy.
Yeah, and he's
flashy.
a poacher. He seems to
a
get
poacher,
into the right
and
place. Yeah.
Angelo has a goal this season, but we haven't quite seen that yet from him. And of course, he hasn't spent much time on the pitch so far this season. But we started to see it last season, though. We started to see signs that he can do that, and he's scored goals too throughout his career. So, I hate to see people being overly critical of the move and